What are you selling, gents? It is your boy Bucket Sam. We're back in today for another YouTube video. Today, I'm going to be ranking every single Premier League winger from the 2024-2025 season. But the ranking we're going to do is a bit of form related, a bit of just my general opinion of them, because a lot of these players have either been loaned out, some might be injured, and I'm not going to let it tarnish that. So I'm going to kind of take everything into account. But before we do it, please do smash the like button and please do subscribe. Let's get straight into it. So Adama Traore, I'm going to go straight in and say, okay, now Adama Traore at times I feel like has been an absolutely incredible winger. But again, his role at Fulham is a bit part player. And every time I get excited about Adama Traore, he lets me down. He's had this throughout his career, whether he's been at Villa, Borough, Wolves, whenever he's been playing quite well, you think, okay, this guy's got something, but he just doesn't have that final product. But Marco Silva seems to be getting a tune out of him. So I'm going to say, okay, I think his contract's up in the end of the summer, but we'll leave that for now. Next, we have got Adingra. Now, Adingra, for me, I'm going to say good. Now, I know he's not kind of got to the levels that we saw him have last season. He's only got 2 goals, I think, so far this season, but he's a player that really excited me last season. He was massive in the AFCON as well. I really liked him. A tricky winger that on his day can be absolutely incredible. But I think what you find with a lot of these Brighton players, they're bit part roles because there's a lot of chopping and changing with the 11s. And not only that, it's kind of more of a system-based team. So players don't shine like they used to, but I do still think he's a good winger, kind of on reflection when you're comparing to a lot of these wingers. By the way, the GOAT category at the top, there's only be one player there because I only believe there you could only have one GOAT in a position. Next, we have got Antony. Now, Antony, I'm going to go just based on his Man United time. We're going to go stinks. But if we're taking his Real Betis time, he'd probably be in Unreal because he's absolutely on fire. But this is a Premier League tier list, so we're not going to take that into account. But I know he's doing really well out there, but I think it's just kind of a lot of players at Manchester United haven't been able to shine, and I think that might be just because of how toxic it is currently at Manchester United. So you can only take what you see with a pinch of salt kind of thing. That's what you kind of got to look at with Manchester United. So I do feel for him, but he's got to be in stinks for his performances. Next, we've got Ayew. Ayew's going to be instincts, and now he's not being the player we all expected, and I think he's getting a little bit older now. He was great years gone by at Palace and things like that. He's great vibes. I always really enjoyed watching him play. But if we're doing a tier list now, bar the goal, I think it was against Southampton or it might have been Ipswich to get a draw right at the very end. I can't really think of, I think it was Ipswich. I think he found that bottom corner, but bar that, he doesn't really do anything anymore. And I think that's down to age. In the past, he would have been in okay, but now I'm going to put him in stinks, let's be honest. If I feel a bit harsh doing it. Next, we have got Leon Bailey. Now, Leon Bailey's going okay. Last season, we would have been in unreal or good, but this season, I think he's really been struggling. He's a winger that a lot of Villa fans will back me up on this. He's quite a frustrating player. His output, and you've seen him do it, but he just seems to be struggling to do it this season. I think that's the problem. I think we all know there's a player in there, but we've not seen it. I think that's what Villa fans, what my mates who are Villa fans always seem to tell me. He's quite a frustrating player on his day, and I feel like he's one that Unai Emery probably will get rid of. One of those players because Unai Emery likes robots. He likes machines that will constantly be efficient and effective, and he's a bit part player who can be very frustrating at times. So we're going to go in okay. Next, we have got Harvey Barnes. I'm going to go good for Harvey Barnes. Now, Harvey Barnes is absolutely incredible in the Carabao Cup final. He kind of replaced Gordon as if absolutely nothing could ever happen because Gordon, we all know how integral he is to Newcastle. I think everyone was expecting him not to step up as much as he has done. And I know he's a bit part player. He has a lot of injuries. He seems to always score whenever he plays and things. But I think on his day, he can be a great winger. And I think he's a great tool to have as a second choice winger. I just hope that he can kind of really get break eventually into that team and they can find a way to get him in there because I just want to see him playing football. I saw him at my team, West Bromwich Albion, a few years back when he was on loan. He was absolutely incredible. And I just want to see that player again. But he's definitely in good. He's a very good player. Next, we've got Oscar Bob. Now, Oscar Bob, I feel like it's going to be harsh. I'm going to have to put him in poor because a lot of his injuries, so we haven't really seen much of him. But whenever he does play, I really like him. I feel like he's really direct. You can see he's still really raw, which I really like because it's not often you see raw players in a Manchester City side because in a couple of years, he won't be this raw, tricky, exciting winger. But right now, I'm going to put him in poor. It probably should be an okay, but I can only go on like what we've seen really. I've not seen enough. So actually, you know what? I can't put him in just in poor, just purely down to his injury. So I'm going to put him in okay, and he'll probably be right at the bottom of there. Next, we've got Jarrod Bowen. Jarrod Bowen's got to go in unreal. One of the most underrated players in the Premier League. I speak about it quite often. I absolutely love him. The output that this guy puts out is out of this world. If this guy was playing for Liverpool, if he was playing for Man City, we'd be talking about him every single week, but he just goes under the radar. His numbers are absolutely incredible. And the way that, regardless of how they're performing, he seems to either score or get an assist. He is a talisman at West Ham. He's absolutely incredible and will go down probably as a legend at West Ham with the way he's been playing and the fact that he won a trophy as well. well. He's absolutely incredible. I adore the bloke. He's absolutely brilliant. And I want him to stay at West Ham because I really like it when players stay at a certain level and become like club legends and things. It doesn't happen very often. So yeah, I really like him. And again, he came from the EFL, which is always great to see, and non-league as well at Hereford. Next, we've got Brennan Johnson. Now, Brennan Johnson for me is a really weird one. Now, Brennan Johnson is in between the two of poor and okay, but I think he's got to go in okay because of how well he started at the start of the season. A lot of Tottenham fans find him really frustrating, but the numbers he was putting up right at the start of that season when he went on that crazy run where he couldn't stop scoring. So you can't like put him down just because of that. But he can be again quite frustrating. A player that kind of goes missing, misses a lot of big chances, and I think he's part of the problem at Tottenham. They've got too many players that just aren't just they're a diamond in the rough where you feel like they just need a little bit more time, but they don't have the time. They've been thrown into the deep end and they're playing every week. Like realistically, if he was playing at Manchester United or Manchester City or an Arsenal, he'd be a bit part player. He'd be kind of in and out the squad. He's a good player on his day, but he shouldn't be starting every week. So I'm going to put him on okay, kind of, especially when you compare him to the rest of the wingers in this league. Next, we've got Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka's got to go in the top of unreal, very close to the GOAT for me. But yeah, he's an absolutely incredible footballer. I absolutely love watching him and how massive he is for England and Arsenal. He's kind of really grown into his own. And you can see when Arsenal have injuries, when he's injured, sorry, you've seen how much they've struggled without him. He's absolutely incredible. So top of unreal, very easy decision. Next, got Fabio Carvalho. He's going to go at the bottom of stinks. Now, for me, he's been one of the most frustrating signings whatsoever at Brentford. He's a player that realistically I've seen him play really well in the Championship, and then he went on loan to Hull last season. And then Brentford bought him, and I thought, okay, Thomas Frank's seen something here. Brentford don't make bad signings very often, but he's been an absolutely awful sign. I'm pretty sure already he's only made 3 starts in all competition, or it might even be 3 appearances. It's just simply not good enough. We don't see him anymore, which is really weird. I know he had a foul move as well to Germany and things. Like I've not seen enough. Like all I've seen is that one season realistically in the Championship where I thought at Fulham he was really decent, but bar that we've not seen anything. So he's got to go in stinks. Next we have got Chiesa. Chiesa is also going to go in stinks, but I'm going to put him at the top. Really weird because a few years back before his injuries at Juventus, I thought he was absolutely incredible. I remember watching him at the World Cup, Euros and things for Italy. He was absolutely incredible, but he's got to go in the bottom of stink, top of stink. Sorry, no, actually not. I feel like it's harsh putting him next to those players. We'll put him in the top of the bottom of poor. Yes, it's a bit frustrating, but he's an exciting player that I want to see play. I feel like you can't help it but look back and have the nostalgia where you feel like he still could come good, but quite clearly he isn't trusted. But I know he scored in the Carabao Cup. Next, we've got Callum Hudson-Odoi. Callum Hudson-Odoi has got to go in the top of good, close to unreal this season. He's been absolutely incredible. Kind of the player that Bayern Munich may have saw. We all saw, Gareth Southgate saw when he first broke through into the England setup and to Chelsea and things. Quite an exciting player. It's a little bit frustrating how he got sold and things and how he was treated at Chelsea, but it's crazy to think that he was sold for 3 million. You think kind of the levels that he's had this season. It's absolutely incredible. And now looking at this list, I feel like Adingra should be at the top of okay. I'm looking at the kind of players that we're building in this list. I'm going to move Adingra down into this okay list. Next, we've got Matheus Cunha. Matheus Cunha in the bottom of unreal, a player on his day that is absolutely incredible. I think I might do a video about him in a couple of weeks' time or in a couple of days' time because I feel like he's really let the Wolves down, if I'm honest. And I think he's quite a frustrating player that could be a real decent player, but I'm interested to see if clubs still go in for him because of his disciplinary record. You can see quite clearly he has problems to keep his head. He loses his head very easily. Some really silly red cards we've seen him get this season. So I think that's probably the most disappointing part of his play, but he's absolutely incredible, can create absolutely anything out of nothing, which there aren't many players in this list that can do that. So he's got to be in unreal. Next, we've got Luis Diaz. I'm going to put him in the top of good. He's a very good player again, but again, we talk about consistency. He does not show consistency as proper purple patch player. 1 minute, I think this guy is absolutely incredible, and then he just drops off the face of the planet. And I feel like if Liverpool really want to cement themselves, because obviously they're going to win the league this year, but if they want to carry on next season because everyone else will improve their squads, I don't think he's the man. I feel like they need to reinvest and maybe look elsewhere because he's not consistent enough for me. He's more of a squad player. Next, we've got Jeremy Doku. Jeremy Doku, for me, in the bottom of good. Again, a bit frustrating, and again, he seems to be pepperfied, and I think we use that term quite often with wingers and things. He's quite exciting, but it's just his output isn't simply enough. He can beat a man, but then sometimes he gets then to the byline, and then it's, what does he do next? He then tries to beat the man again and things. Maybe it'll come as he gets a bit older and over time and things, but his decision making for me is all over the place at times. So I'm going to whack him in good for now. Next, we've got Dwight McNeil. Dwight McNeil for me has got to go in good, and we've got to put him next to, and we've got put him above Harvey Barnes and Doku. I think Dwight McNeil is criminally underrated, and I quite liked him in the 10, which Dyche played him there at times. But he's a really good player, and I think because everyone thinks of the winger that we saw at Burnley, the man who would just whip the ball in straight away, I think his technical side of his play and the way we look at him as a footballer is tarnished because of that. I think he's a very good footballer, and I think again he could probably play at a higher level than Everton, but I quite like the fact that he's one of the main men at Everton and one of the reasons as to why they're being so good this season. Next, we've got Anthony Elanga. Anthony Elanga for me is probably just above Kalamata-Odoi, and do you know what, actually? And I'm going to whack him above Luis Diaz as well. Absolutely incredible. Sorry, my emails are coming up at the bottom there. But what I really like about him is another one of those players that kind of saw what was going on at Manchester United, similar to Callum Hudson-Odoi, saw what was going on at their clubs, and then just moved away. Because you see a lot of clubs and a lot of players at the big clubs when it's not working out, they kind of just ride their contract out. And I really rate the ambition. I really like the way they've moved to Nottingham Forest. They've kind of then worked their way and got just focused on their game. You've seen it with both of these players. It's a prime example that you can move away from a big team, and if it doesn't work, and it can still work out for you in your Premier League career, I really like it, and the two of them have been absolutely incredible. Him especially, the link up he has with Chris Wood is out of this world. The amount of times he seems to be assisting him is absolutely incredible. Next, we've got Eberechi Eze. Eberechi Eze is a really frustrating one for me because last season I've had him in there, but this season it doesn't seem to be on the same level as he used to be. So I'm going to whack him in good, but not at the top of good. A player, again, we talk on his day players, and I feel like that's the problem. I think we think about the kind of moments and the things we've seen him do in previous seasons, but he doesn't do it consistently enough, but he's still a good player. But again, we just want him to step up that next level because Elise's gone, and it's like I was expecting him to make the step up and kind of fill that void, but he's still yet to do that. But he's still a very good player. Next, we've got Fatuwa at Leicester. I really liked him last season, and at times this season he's been quite an exciting player. But overall, he's a bit part player, and I think we kind of get excited about highlights where he beats a man and things, but he hasn't really shown enough for me. So I'm going to say poor. I don't think he's on the level of the stinkers down here, but I'd say he's poor. Again, one of those players that has a good highlight reel, but really is pretty much ineffective. Next, we've got Anthony Gordon. Anthony Gordon for me is going to go right at the top here and unreal, just ahead of Matheus Cunha, just purely down to the disciplinary record, and that's why I feel like that really bugs me with Matheus Cunha, but I'm going to whack him up in unreal. Again, one of those players that can make absolutely anything out of, he can make absolutely anything out of nothing. I was trying to think of the phrase then. I really like him as a player. We've seen him really step up this season. I think we talk about him quite often, and do you remember that time when, I think it was against Brentford, and he got taken off and he really had a massive strop, but I think how far he's come there, and he's really matured as a player, and I really want him to go far with this Newcastle team. And I think, again, yes, he had a moment in that game against Brighton in the Cup and he let his side down, but overall, you can't really hate him because he's been absolutely incredible for them this season. Next, we've got Jack Harrison. I'm going to whack Jack Harrison in stinker, probably at the top of stinker if I'm honest. A player again that has a good highlights, has a good couple of moments, can be like an okay player, but realistically he isn't good enough for the Premier League. I feel like the Championship is his level. He kind of always seems to be playing in sides and playing for teams in and around the relegation zone because that's really realistically his level. Next we've got Hwang Hee-chan, and again this is another player that last season we all got really excited by, but again he had a purple patch. He's a bit part player and he's got to go in stinks. I think we can't just go by what he did last season. I don't think we could just use that as kind of the one moment and then kind of carry that on for forever because he's just not shown and not got anywhere near that level again for quite a while. Next, we have got Mohamed Kudus. Mohamed Kudus for me, is he unreal? No, he's not unreal. I'm going to whack him in good, and I'm going to whack him just above Luis Diaz. A player, again, that I really want to see more consistency from. A player that really excites me. I really like him because, again, he does things that other players can't do. He's exciting, and I want to see players like him in the Premier League. But, again, his disciplinary record is quite poor, and he's just a little bit inconsistent. But on his day, he can be a world beater. So he's not far away from unreal, but he's just still inconsistent. Next, we've got Keane Lewis-Potter, a player that I really liked when he was in the Championship. Really exciting. I thought he really took a while to break into this Brentford side, and now we've seen him in there. He's not bad. I'll probably put him in and around okay. I think he's got a few goals and there's a few assists maybe, or he might have 2 or 3. He's okay, don't get me wrong, but he's not on like an incredible level, but he is a consistent Premier League winger. So I think we'll just whack him right in the middle of the road. Can't really complain, and he's better than all of these players down here. But what I feel like with Keane Lewis-Potter, he's a player that I really wanted to see play and flourish because he really excited me. I thought he was kind of like a Jared Bowen regen when he came through at Hull, but he hasn't really hit the heights, so I'm glad he's playing, but I think okay is probably the right level for him. Next, we've got Mavididi, a player that that was absolutely incredible last season in the Championship. I think realistically, he's good enough to be playing in the Premier League, probably at his level, kind of towards the bottom, maybe playing at somebody like Everton and things. So again, I'm going to whack him in the bottom of okay, because when you compare him to players like Fatua, he's a lot better, and he's better than Jordan Ayew. He's probably one of the better players at Leicester, one of the players that are actually flourishing. Now on to Jakub Minter, another player that I was really excited to see in the Premier League this season. I understand that obviously Newcastle sold him for PSR rulings and PSR reasons. It was an odd one because I know obviously how well he did at Feyenoord and things. I was really excited to see him this season. Now I know he's had a few injury troubles and moments, but overall as a player, I think he's definitely a good winger. And again, I can only take it from like the little sample size that we've seen him. He hasn't been playing every single week, and he really excited me earlier on in the season. I think it was against Everton. He absolutely tore him apart, and I thought, do you know what? This guy is going to be incredible this season. But we've not seen him get to those heights again, which is down to injury. He can't help that. But I feel like he's still a good player, but I feel like he could eventually get up to unreal as he kind of progresses on in his career. And I think Brighton's a really good place for him. And I think if you stand out in a Brighton side, I said this earlier when we spoke about Adingra, if you can kind of flourish in those kind of teams, then you're definitely a decent player, because those are the squads like your likes of Brentford, where it's a system. So if you can stand out in a system, then you're definitely a great player. Next, we've got Mitoma. Now, Mitoma for me is definitely towards unreal, but he's not that on that level yet. But I'm going to whack him in good, just above of Luis Diaz. I really like him as a player again, and I feel like this season we've seen a little bit of a drop off compared to his previous seasons. He's getting a little bit older now. He's one player that everyone forgets how old he is. I think he's coming towards 30 now, but I really like him as a player. Very consistent week in, week out, so we've got to put him in good. And I feel like that's probably his level. I don't think he'll ever make it to unreal. He's on the cusp of it, but I don't think he'll ever make that step up into that next list. Next, we have got Mudryk. Mudryk, I'm going to whack in stinks. We don't need to talk about why he's not playing, because we don't really know. So we're going to leave him there and not talk about it. Next, we have got Jacob Murphy. Now, Jacob Murphy has got to go in good. Now, some people might go, that seems a little bit ridiculous, but this list is getting too long, so I think somebody's got to drop down. Let me have a quick look through here. Where do I want Jacob Murphy? I want Jacob Murphy there. Maybe. Do I whack? I'm going to have to drop Adingra down. Jakub Minter, sorry, down to Adingra. So yeah, we're going to whack him into okay, because we're going too far then. We've got too many players. And if we get another one, we'll have to drop somebody else down, or even maybe move somebody up. You never know. But let's get on to, who was I just literally talking about? I was talking about, Jacob Murphy. We're talking about Jacob Murphy. That was the player. I had to look then. Jacob Murphy is a player that's been absolutely incredible this season. The link up that him and Isak have had, it's one of the greatest duos of all time. No, I'm joking. The duo of them two together, the amount of assists they've been providing for each other this season is record breaker. They've been absolutely incredible. And I feel like he's a player that's come on a massive redemption arc. Jeez, I can't even speak. He came on loan to West Bromwich Albion a few years back. He simply wasn't good enough, and he kind of had this whole kind of curve and come really good, and has been a massive part as to why Newcastle have been incredible. So he's definitely got to go in good. Next, we've got Amad Diallo. Now, Amad Diallo has got to go into good. He's been absolutely incredible. So we're going to knock Doku down. I feel like more players will go dropping down as time goes on, but I feel like Amad Diallo was absolutely incredible for Manchester United when he was fit in that bit part kind of role that he had, because again, he kind of carried them in moments, but again, the sample size is still so small, so we kind of just got to leave him in good for now and leave it at that level, and maybe over time he can kind of progress into unreal, because he's still very, very young, and he's still not played that many games in the Premier League, so I feel like good. He's definitely his level now. But again, we'll see if he can make it to that next step over time. Next, we have got Garnacho. Now, Garnacho for me has got to go into okay. And he's a really weird one. I'm going to whack him. I'm just looking through the list. Probably there. Yeah, I'm going to whack him there for now. You look at him as a player again, looking at moments, he's been incredible. But overall, I don't think he's done it consistently and now enough. He's quite a frustrating player. You hear about kind of the stories about whether he kind of the training ground and things like that. He seems to have a bit of an ego at times. He's a bit frustrating. But overall, you can't really hold him. You can't hold him against for that. This is a list on players' ability and things, so we'll leave him there for now. We'll whack him in okay. Again, can be quite frustrating at times. Next, we've got Gabriel Martinelli. Martinelli has got to go into good, and I feel like a weird thing with Gabriel Martinelli. A lot of like Arsenal fans get frustrated about him, but he's a good squad player. Like, he's a good player to have. I know, obviously, if you want to win titles and things, he's probably not the man, but as a player, as an individual, I still think he's very good. I know we kind of remember that season where he was absolutely incredible, where he was getting goal contributions for fun, but I still think he's a good winger. I still feel like that's his level, and we shouldn't really knock him for that. I feel like kind of everyone wants that again from him, but the levels he's shown since then have been good, because in that season he was unreal, but for now, I still think this is his level. Next, we've got Pedro Neto. Pedro Neto, for me, is going to go in okay. One player that I was really expecting a lot of big things from him, if I'm honest, this season. I was kind of quite excited to see him at Chelsea, because we saw how many times times when he's fit at the Wolves, he was absolutely incredible, but he hasn't shown enough for me at Chelsea. Had a bit part role, and when he did kind of take that position for his own, he didn't really step up massively. I think he kind of sums up a lot of Chelsea at the minute. Kind of flatters to deceive, really. He's a bit of a frustrating one. Next, we've got Madueke. Same again, in okay. I'm going to whack him in okay right at the top with Pedro Neto. Again, a player that's shown glimpses of doing it, showing glimpses, but again, not consistent enough. Quite frustrating at times, kind of in and out of games and things, but on his day, could be unreal, then next poor. So I'm going to whack him in okay, just leave him there. Frustrating with a lot of these players. We got Odobert. I'm going to whack Odobert into poor for now. I thought he was a really odd signing, and in the moments where I've seen him play, especially against Fulham, he didn't really do anything. Again, I know he's just come back from injuries and things. A lot of Tottenham fans say trust the process and things with him, but for me, he hasn't. The sample pool I've seen from him and the moments I've seen from him have not been enough. So I'm going to whack him in poor for now, and I'll happily have him prove me wrong. Now we've got Ogbene. Ogbene's got to go into stinks because Ogbene for me was all right last season at Luton, but he's had a bit part role. We've not really seen much of him, so he's got to go into stinks because it just hasn't worked out. And again, he was okay, but he's another one of those players where in moments you thought he was brilliant, and if you're only seeing moments and that's it, and it's kind of highlight reels, that kind of sums them up as player. Bit part players that aren't really effective enough and aren't really probably Premier League footballers. Next, we've got Amari Hutchinson. Amari Hutchinson, I'm going to whack into okay, probably above Oscar Bob for now. He's had moments again, and he's a player that I was really excited to see. Kind of, you saw him come through at Arsenal, then he moved to Chelsea, and then you expected big things. Kind of got linked with players, linked with moves everywhere in the Championship and things. And he was on loan at Ipswich last season. He was really decent. They signed him on a permanent. Probably overpaid for him, in my opinion, but he's still a good player. I'd say he's okay. I think Premier League football is his level, so that's why I think okay. That's kind of my logic for this. Everyone at okay, Premier League is their standard. Anyone below, probably not, in my opinion. Next, we've got Tura, who at times has played as a striker in this Bournemouth side because of the injuries. He's got to go into good. He's had an absolutely incredible season this season. He's been a player that really excites me. I love how the way he plays, he's just so direct, so fast, and causes absolute chaos when he plays that Bournemouth side. His pressing is incredible. I really like him as a footballer, so he's definitely going to go into good. And you can kind of see now, good and okay are really building up, and we still haven't got anybody in the GOATS position, but we'll get there eventually. Next, we've got Philogene. We're going to leave him in stinks. I think he's been a really poor player. I know Ipswich bought him, but I still don't think he's ever really shown moments. Even when he was in the Championship for Hull, I thought, again, he was a little bit frustrating. I don't think the Premier League is his level. Next, got Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford has got to go at the top of okay. I think he's probably, no, put him at the bottom of good. I think that's probably a little bit harsh to whack him in any lower. I think he's a very good player. We'll whack him just above Amad Diallo because I really like him as a player, and I'm really glad to see that he's doing well at Aston Villa. I think, again, talking about players when we spoke about Alanga and Hudson-Odoi moving away from these big clubs and the pressures that come with them, and you've seen he's flourishing at Aston Villa, and I hope that he keeps improving and really does well for England. So the next player we're talking about is Reiss Nelson. Reiss Nelson, I'm going to whack in stinks. I personally, I've never really got it with him. Again, good player to have off the bench, but if we're talking about wingers, like actually at their level, it's got to go in stinks for me. Next, we've got Mohamed Salah, the GOAT for me, winger right now in the Premier League. I think it's simple as that. I feel like he kind of just argues himself. There's a lot of people you could argue, and a lot of people would suggest that he's the greatest winger of all time the Premier League's ever seen. I personally don't think that, but he's definitely up there, and he's definitely in conversation. Right now, this guy's a joke. The way he's been playing, I know everyone likes to think about the fact that he went missing the Carabao Cup final or in the Champions League against PSG. We're kind of using the smallest sample size there. We are isolating 2 games. As a season, this guy is having record-breaking numbers, and if Liverpool don't give this guy what he wants contract-wise, it will be mental. The guy is an absolute joke. Next, we've got Jadon Sancho, straight into poor. Really frustrating one again. Has moments where you think, oh my word, he's coming good. He's exciting, and then just drops off the face of the earth again. Really frustrating. He kind of really does my head in. I want him to do well, because I've seen, again, highlights and moments again, and because he's English and things, he could get into the England squad, but not good enough over time, so we're going to whack him in poor. Next, got Ismail Assar, probably at the top of okay. Again, kind of a good Premier League winger, not one that you want starting every week, week in, week out, kind of very inconsistent. A few weeks where you'll go by and you think this guy's an absolute joke and you can play at a better level, and then he reminds you why he's at Palace. He did this before at Watford, kind of really excited you, and he on his day he can be absolutely incredible, one of the best wingers in the league, but that day doesn't come enough. So yeah, whack him straight into okay. A good, just average Premier League winger. Same with Savinho. Savinho hasn't shown enough for me yet to whack him into good, but in moments he's been okay, but overall as a season, I think probably okay is the right level for him at the minute. Next, Semenyo. Semenyo, oh my word, this feels whack him at the bottom of Unreal. Some people may think that's crazy, but I really think his level could be anybody in the Premier League. There aren't many teams that would turn him away. He's an absolute joke, can play absolutely anywhere. I really like him, and I think he's one of the main reasons and kind of sums up as to why how good this side is doing. I absolutely love this bloke. Next, got Sinistera. Stinks. Simple as that. Don't really think he's good enough for the Premier League. Again, kind of just fits into the squad. Bit part player, but not good enough for me. Next, we have got Son. Son isn't in Unreal, in my opinion, anymore. I think he probably goes into good. Would I have him above Gabriel Martinelli? Probably yes. So we'll just whack him into good. He used to be on this level. There was an argument for him to be there at one point in his career, but just casually, just it's natural. He's aging. That's all it is. I'm not trying to be nasty or anything. He's just getting on a bit. Like when you watch him playing things, you can see he's tired. He doesn't have the same impact that he used to have at one point. Next, we've got Raheem Sterling. Okay, Premier League winger, not at the level he used to be, but I feel like that could still come back around. I feel like the way he's been treated by Arsenal at times has been absolutely crazy. I've never seen anyone get so angry at a lone player. It's been really weird treatment at times, but I still think there's a player in there. I don't know whether that's me being ridiculous and kind of just looking with my rose-tinted glasses, thinking about nostalgia when he's playing for England and things, but I'm going to whack him in okay for now. I quite like him as a Premier League winger. I think that's his level, obviously. He's not lower than that, so we're just going to whack him in okay. Next, we have got Somerville. Somerville I'm going to whack into okay. A player I really expected to see a lot more from this season. It's quite sad because in the Championship, he was absolutely incredible for Leeds. He absolutely tore apart my team whenever we played each other. He was incredible. And again, I really expected him to take the Premier League by storm, but he hasn't. I know he's had a couple of injuries and things, but in a bit part role at West Ham, he hasn't made that position his own, which I thought he would do. So I'll leave him in okay because he's definitely good enough for the Premier League, but I just want him to come good. Next, Timo Werner. Stinks. Simple as that. I'm not even discussing it. I don't know how he got the move to Tottenham, and I think that just kind of sums up everything wrong with Tottenham at the minute. Next, we've got Trossard. Trossard's good, definitely. Again, another player that seems to get a lot of unnecessary stick and hate by Arsenal fans. I think, again, as a bit part player to have in the squad, I think he's good enough. I just think Arsenal are in a really awkward position where they've had a lot of injuries. So now the players that they can kind of rely on to have bit part roles to come in and week in, week out as a sub and things are having to start. So now there's more pressure on them, and now people are getting angry at them, which is why I think he's getting a bit of stick, but unnecessarily. I think he's definitely a good winger. Next, we've got Alex Iwobi. Alex Iwobi is going to go towards the top of good for me. Right now, he's one of the most informed wingers in the league and has been probably for the last 2 seasons, been absolutely incredible. One of the main reasons as to why Fulham are as good as they are. He's been absolutely incredible. A lot of the stuff that I really like about Fulham has come through him. So there you go. That is me ranking every single Premier League winger currently. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Smash the like button and please do subscribe for lots more content. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you guys for watching and I'll see you soon. Peace.